Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Reference Point. I'm your host, Dave Cokerhook, and this evening I'm very happy to say that I have some returning guests, a couple of gentlemen who have not been at Reference Point for probably 3 years now, but I'm real happy to have them back, and they are Pastor Paul Gaines and my good friend Morris Chubb, who are with Project We Hope. And specifically to talk about tonight is an initiative that they have going here in the San Francisco Bay Area called Dignity on Wheels. Gentlemen, welcome back to Reference Point. Thank you. I'm sorry it's been so long since I've had you here.
Well, thank you, Dave. This is great.
Now, it's been, like I said, almost 3 years since you guys were here. And at that time, I remember that the Dignity on Wheels program had pretty much just been going. And I don't know how much the viewing audience remembers or if they've seen any of your vehicles on the road. But if you could kind of give us a sort of tell us again, what is the Dignity on Wheels program and what's its objective?
Well, I'm going to let our board chair, Morris Chubb, take the first swipe at that.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. When we first heard of the idea of, or thought of perhaps helping the homeless, we thought about showers, and very soon people started saying, well, it's not just showers they need, but they need their clothes to be laundered. And that was really novel because there were a lot of people around who were providing showers for the homeless. But imagine stepping back into the clothes you slept in for the last 3 weeks, and how a non-event that shower would be very shortly. And so we got inspired by the idea of providing laundry along with showers. And, you know, as you mentioned, Dave, when we first saw each other last, it was probably 2016. And then we probably had 2 trailers. And today we have 5 trailers. We'll be building at least one other this year. We'll be buying a companion vehicle for providing case management. This is all for the city of San Jose. And we may be stepping into larger markets as well. So things are really ballooning.
So things are blossoming. That's a very exciting thing. Now, so you said at the moment, outside of the ones that you're talking about possibly coming with the city of San Jose, how many vehicles are deployed at this point?
We have a total of 5 we just launched our 5th vehicle in the East Bay in the city of Oakland, thanks to a large grant from Whole Foods Market. And now we're servicing 14 cities within 4 counties.
Wow, that's fantastic. And we've got some images. I think if the guys will show that. I mean, this is what the units look like, right? You got the truck, and I guess that large tank on the back is the water.
That's right.
Correct.
And then you've got the trailer that has showers and restrooms and laundry facilities, and which is really cool. As a matter of fact, go to the next slide, and I think we can see with the. You've got the laundry facilities, and so which is really fantastic. And so you got 5 units, and you're servicing. You said 14 cities.
Yes, correct.
So when we look at, we're here in Mountain View. Okay, so we're in the Santa Clara County area, and so on this side of the bay, which cities are being serviced?
So we service East Palo Alto, Menlo Park, Redwood City, San Mateo, Half Moon Bay. We service Mountain View, Sunnyvale, and San Jose, and Daly City. What's that?
In Gilroy.
In Gilroy,
Yeah.
that's
Wow.
right. In Gilroy.
Half Moon Bay, that's kind of like that's a drive.
Well, the homeless problem has actually grown in the last 2 years. It was going down in certain counties and certain cities, but in the last 2 years, because of the high cost of housing, it has now perpetuated a problem that was there just to enormity that it is today. So we have more people living in their cars, their vans, and their RVs.
Right. I saw an article, I think it was from March or April of this year, and it was in the San Jose Mercury News, that something about like the homeless scenario has grown by something like 40% over the last couple of years.
Yeah.
I was talking to some of the folks from Destination Home just a couple of weeks ago about what they're doing and whatnot, and it's just like it's in an area like ours where the economy is so strong. You look at that situation and you go, why? And I don't know that there's an easy answer to why. I know that there's a multiple points of impact on the why, and probably one or two that are the primary levers. But I'm not an expert in the area, so I don't know. How would you guys look at this in this situation?
You know, what I see is one is housing, a housing issue that we have in the Bay Area. The housing is expensive, and salaries are not that high for the median person, and so they are scrambling for the low end of the market, which leaves the homeless or near homeless, the people who are just subsisting, no inventory at all to move into.
And how much of that has to do with the fact that there has been a tendency in the Bay Area to not want to necessarily, especially in the cities? Do we really want to build more? You get places like Brisbane that didn't want to add more because we like our, and there's a lot of we think it's a good idea, but we don't want it here type activity relative to increasing density population housing, which is what a lot of people need. They don't need a mega mansion. They need a 1 or 2 bedroom or studio apartment. Okay, but we're not doing that as much as we could, I'm guessing.
Well, yeah, I mean, we didn't get into this problem overnight, and we're not going to get into this problem, out of this problem overnight as well. The issue, though, is, I think you're spot on, is that we're not going to solve the homeless problem unless we have housing stock. But in the meantime, in between time, there are people who are dying on the street.
Right.
I mean, we met with the city of Berkeley, where we're looking to expand there and have a safe car parking program utilizing our Dow services. And they had 6 people die in the month of July only.
Wow.
On the streets that were homeless.
Wow.
Now, we're talking about the Bay Area, one of the richest places to live in the whole entire world.
Right.
Very affluent, technology off the chain. And yet we have people that cannot even live here in a safe and productive environment for their families. For them, they can get a job, but the job doesn't pay enough, as Brother Morris alluded to. And so we have to still go down this pathway of providing services,
yes,
like what we're doing with Dignity on Wheels and with our homeless shelter, because there's just not enough housing stock available at this point in time to help triage people from dying on the street.
Makes sense. I understand. And
at the same time, so we still got to build housing.
Yes, we have to build housing because of that situation of people wanting to come here and moving here and businesses expanding and more folks coming to the Bay Area. That's not going to go away.
No.
We need to be proactive in making sure there is sufficient housing at all economic levels. I mentioned I was speaking to the folks at Destination Home, and the gentleman was saying that what's happening is that those folks who have a job are looking to find places that they can buy or rent that are less costly, so that for them. They could afford more, but hey, if I can get it for less, why should I pay more? And that, of course, drives the people who couldn't afford more, lower on the scale, and then you reach that point where there isn't any inventory. So it's sort of a nasty sort of dwindling spiral thing.
And but also to your point is we have to build smart housing. Yes, it should be high density, but it needs to be around public transportation,
yes, right,
so that we're not creating these bottlenecks, because none of us would like to see more traffic.
Right.
But if we have to choose between traffic and people dying on the street, I would hope that people will choose to build. Yes, go with the traffic, on this issue. And I think that lawmakers are getting enough pressure on them, are getting more pressure on them now that they recognize this, and we have to build our way out of this problem.
Right.
That's the only way that we can do that. But again, in the meantime, in between time, we have to supply services.
We've got services like this one. So let's go back to Dignity on Wheels. So how does the service work? I mean, what is, you just go driving down the street and say, yo, dude, do you need a shower?
No, that's one thing that people who call us, they think that's That's as simple as that. No, there's a process and there's a system that we have in place. We have our Dignity and Wills coordinator, Anita Blount. She will go out and she will look at a site. And a site to us is someone that we can serve at least 15 people at that particular site to be able to provide showers, to be able to wash and dry their clothes, and to provide case management. Because our goal is, one, yes, to help restore their dignity and make them clean, but also to get them connected to the services that they deserve. But the hook is the cleanliness.
Right.
Because when you, I'm sure, Dave, this week you've had a shower or a bath, right?
At least once.
At least once. And so you feel good about yourself,
Yeah.
right? And so when people get that shower and that bath in our vehicles, then their thought mindset becomes, now I'm willing, and these are the testimonies of our clients. Now I'm willing to go look for that job. Now I'm willing to go to my mental health appointment, my doctor's appointment, because I'm in a clean state. I'm no longer in an unclean state where I'm not going to be ostracized to get on public transportation.
Right. Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah. I understand the feeling of that. I've done outings with the Boy Scouts where we were gone in the backwoods for 14 days, and you come back and you're feeling like, you can scrape the grime off your body, right? And you take that shower and you go, oh God, this is beautiful. It changes. Your perspective changes, and that makes a lot of sense. Now you mentioned the service side, the term you used, and I lost it there. But it's not just the shower and the clothing, but it's
case management.
Case management.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit more. When we talk about case management, Morris, what do we mean by case management?
Well, getting them clean, putting clean clothes on them, now allows them to do things that they wouldn't otherwise do or think of those things. And so what we try to do is present to them opportunities where they can go get job training, where they can go looking for jobs, where they can go looking for housing. I think the thing, Pastor, we really need to talk about is, what's happening in East Palo Alto. East Palo Alto, arguably one of the poorest cities in the Bay Area, has done something that no other city in the Bay Area has done, is they have started an RV safe parking lot.
An RV safe parking lot.
And so there are RVs. How many do we have now? 16?
There was 52 RV dwellers in the whole city, and we had 34 sign up for the program that Project We Hope designed. In partnership with the city of East Palo Alto, using the city-owned lot. And out of those 34, we've already gotten 12 housed. Now, this just happened this past May that we started the program.
Wow.
So within 4 months, we've gotten 12 families housed. And it's not just us, it's a collaboration. Our model is none of us is as strong as all of us.
When you say housed,
meaning they've received housing vouchers in order to go, and they're on the waiting list to get their housing available to us. There might be little fine
more
details.
like an apartment or something like that, as opposed to an RV?
Oh, yes, it's definitely out of their RVs.
So the safe RV lot is a location where people who, at the moment, are finding that this is what they have in the way of shelter. They're able to be there. It's a more secure environment. No one's going to kick them out of the area and all that sort of stuff. And through the other services offered through what Project We Hope is doing, they're in a position to, find opportunities and then, maybe get housing. So, okay, got it.
You have to have intensive case management in order for the program to be successful. This program was a pilot program, and it has been widely successful, so much so that we've had about 13 different mayors come, and Silicon Valley Community Foundation, Gina Doma was one of the people that helped organize the event. Our city, the leadership, we cannot thank them enough, the city council, for approving. We told them, if you guys come up with 2/3 of the money, we'll raise the other third. If you allow us to use your city land, we will make this, it's not an RV park, it's an RV safe parking program.
Right.
So we're not trying to make it so comfortable that people would want to live there for the rest of their lives.
Exactly.
But it is the foundation and launching pad to get them connected and back on that road to self-sufficiency.
And I can see, I have not had to live that situation, but I can think through what that can mean for someone who, I mean, the closest thing for me is being out of work, not having a job, you know, being over 50 and trying to find a job, okay? And that's the closest thing for me that correlates to this type of a situation. And it's one of those extremely frustrating and, you know, grit your teeth kind of situations. And for these folks who are in this kind of situation where they for no fault of their own, are not in a position where they can stay in their home. I mean, we look at what's going on in the economic environment, and one of the beautiful things about technology is that it provides opportunities and advancements and makes things faster and easier, etc. At the same time, it has that tendency to eliminate the jobs at the lowest level of activity within an organization. So you get productivity improvement, but you lose personnel. Now, where do those people go? Okay, and that's a challenge. You lose your job, you can lose your home. You lose your home, you're living on the street or in an RV. Okay, got it. So, you mentioned expansion, and that I thought I had read on your website that your expansion included Southern California. Is that correct?
Yes, we are in talks with another service provider. Who has to remain nameless because we're inking the deal as we speak. And we're going to be expanding to the Los Angeles area. They actually asked us to come down a couple years ago. However, Brother Morris and my wife and I, we flew down there, met with the Grand Poobahs. But they did not have the funding mechanism that would support us to expand down there. And we had to make sure that was in place before we did that. Because the need down there is just, if you think it's challenging and actually bad here, it's worse down there in Southern California. Yes.
Wow.
They have over 49,000 homeless people just in the city and the county of Los Angeles alone.
49,000?
That's bigger than our whole city of East Palo Alto.
Wow. Wow. So I want to go back to something because I realized we just sort of zipped through it. It was how is it that it's not that the vehicle is driving down the street, and you started to explain, and I got us diverted into something else. You said something, and it took me off on a tangent. So let us know how someone, how the process works.
So, and you know, while I do work in law enforcement too, and my father was in the military, this is kind of a military terminology. We prefer to do the greatest amount of good with the least amount of effort by having a target-rich area. And that means we look to serve a minimum of 15 clients anytime that truck is deployed to a site, because there are numbers that we're trying to reach, and it's not that we're not insensitive to everybody deserves a shower. We get that, but we can't drive up to where two people are, and we have a driver, we have an intake worker, we have a case manager. That's not really cost effective. Yeah, when you talk about economy of scale, so we try to make sure that we have an area that we can serve a minimum of that. Now we've had places where we're serving 60 and 70 people, so those are the best areas. Again.
Now, is that because people have come to know that on the second Thursday of the month you're showing up and then they go there, or that just happens to be where there's a number of an encampments, shall we say?
And Brother Morris will elaborate further too. There's two ways we look at this. We look at what is the area, who's already working with the homeless. You know, who is already partnered, who already is very passionate and wants to serve them, and they have a large number of people that need our type of service. We only want to go where we're needed. We're not trying to force our way anywhere. Unfortunately, the demand for our services is gone skyrocketing because of the RV dwellers, the car dwellers, and the van dwellers. So now we're not just serving encampments where people are living in tents or on the street. Now we're creating these parking lot programs where we're actually servicing those too. We're trying to bring the people together so we can connect other people, other service providers to them. So there is a method in our methodology. There's a method in our madness, I should say, on when we do outreach. We don't just want to drive up and if you need a shower, okay, we're going to unload and do our 4-hour session there.
Right.
It may cause for us to be there 8 hours, and so that's a different type of setup.
Right.
And,
what's
and we have a route. So
We have a route.
It literally every day we have a different place to go, but the same day of the week we're going to be back. Now it could be twice a week or it could be once a week. Normally we like to have it twice. We feel that really everybody deserves a shower every day, but in the practical world we want to reach as many people as possible and feel that 2 is a minimum that we'd like to offer. And so we'll go, Monday and Thursday, Tuesday and Friday. A schedule like that, and we'll be, and so the homeless know that we're going to be there. And at first it starts out with 3 or 4, the early adopters, and pretty soon we've got 10, 12, 15.
So how do you fund the program? Because clearly, you've got vehicles. Vehicles require maintenance. They require gasoline. You have to pay for the laundry soap, and I'm sure you're giving them, haircuts and shaves and stuff like that. So you got all that stuff, and you have personnel that are doing this, and I'm sure they're doing what they can, but you probably have to compensate them for their services to some degree. How do you fund this operation?
Through a variety of ways. It's first started off with a private donor that was our first funder that believed in the vision and the mission that we were trying to accomplish. And then from there, we actually initially had some opposition from either other service providers at the very beginning when we first started. And then they saw that, oh no, this actually is a great need, and that is a need that is being demanded in various cities, not just where we started off. And so we look at donors that come out and help us and support, and we just established our text to give, and my development director would kill us if we did not mention that. So if they want to text the word dignity to 56512, they can help give and support our efforts there. 56512. That's correct.
Dignity.
And text the word dignity.
Dignity to 56512. Okay.
But we also have contracts with local governments. We're looking to establish more contracts with the cities that need a service like ours. So whether it's the county or whether it's the local city. And then we're also looking to expand where we may even have the federal government is looking and considering what we're doing.
Got it. So the it sounds like you have managed to establish a collaborative effort with other service providers who are doing not necessarily similar things, but related services.
Complementary.
Okay, which is fantastic. So that's the kind of cooperative activity that I think is really critical. Again, I'm going back to my conversations with other gentleman on Destination Home. He was saying that there can be some, because the way these regions are set up, or these areas, relative to the housing, the federal support for housing initiatives, the guys in San Francisco don't necessarily want to deal with the guys in San Jose, and of course San Francisco and San Jose don't get along so well anyway, but that's either. So you have those kinds of things, but it sounds like you guys have successfully been able to work within or alongside of other services, which has got to be a blessing to both the other services, but the people that you service.
Yes, I mean, we look to see how can we leverage off of existing relationships where possible, because they're already familiar with the lay of the land. And if no one's servicing this group, maybe it could have been what they used to call the zoo in San Jose, where 700 homeless were there. And our goal is not to leave the client in that position, but it's to intentionally establish a relationship so that then now we can build that trust with them, and then we can point them to the right services from our complementary partners that provide, maybe they do something we don't do. And case management is something that's really huge. Well, we don't have enough case managers, so we can't hire enough at this point in time. So we partner with those who have case management.
Got it. We only have about 3 minutes or so left in the show, so I want to take this conversation to the general public. Okay, what do they need to understand? How can they contribute to the positive energy? And where would they do that?
You take one, I'll take two.
Okay, well, I want to take, like about 3 steps back and just tell a little story. Jascha Heifetz was a renowned 20th century violinist. And Jascha said that if he didn't practice for a day, he'd notice a difference. If he didn't practice for 2 days, his critics would notice a difference. If he didn't practice for 3, his audiences would know the difference. And I'd say to you and everybody that if you don't shower for a day, you notice the difference. If you don't shower for 2 days, your family's going to notice the difference. If you don't shower for 3 days, the rest of us will notice the difference.
Right.
The homeless are no less sensitive and no less deserving than you and I are. And so we look at the homeless population, the unhoused homeless, which is the bolus of the homeless. Mm-hmm. And many of those homeless people are working. So they are working homeless. Mm. How do you work when you're in an unclean state? Right. How do you relate to your boss and to your fellow coworkers if you're not clean? Right. And so we're here really to enable them to regain their dignity. We can't give them their dignity. That's what Dignity on Wheels is all about. Mm-hmm.
Cool. Thank you. Over to you, Pastor.
I would say that people need to understand that there's many facets of homelessness. Mm-hmm. There's episodal, there's chronic homelessness, and that homeless people didn't ask to be in this position, mm-hmm. that they were forced to be in this position because of the pressure, the economic pressures of where we live in Silicon Valley. Mm-hmm. And then, so people need to be aware of that. The first thing is always to create awareness, because sometimes people end up not seeing the homeless. They choose to not see it, or they just don't, because homeless can look just like us. Right. They can be dressing just like us, right. and you wouldn't know that they're homeless. Right. And then I would say is to educate, get educated on how you could, basically help the homeless, what the needs are. They're not very little homeless people are actually on drugs, right? But there are more that are have mental health challenges because right. they've been out in I like to say the wilderness, but have been outdoors living for quite some time, and you develop from lack of sleep and things of that nature. And then I would say, give of your time, give of your talent, and hopefully you'll give up your treasure, because it will reach and touch your heart.
And I think that that's a great place to end off, and I think I'm going to wrap up with saying that it's a situation that is a community responsibility.
That's
okay,
right.
We have to take and realize right. that we don't inhabit this planet individually. We're all in this together, so we got to figure out how to take it to the next level. So, Morris, Pastor Baines, thank you so much for joining me here again. I really appreciate you came back to talk to us. And ladies and gentlemen, we'll see you next time on Reference Point.